This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. As we turn to Robert Redford, the legendary actor 40 years ago in '76 has starred in one of the most celebrated journalism films of all time, All the President's Men. He and Dustin Hoffman portrayed Washington Post reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein investigating the Watergate scandal that eventually brought down President Nixon. Well, now in his most recent film, Truth, Robert Redford portrays another journalist, this time CBS reporter Dan Rather. The film based on CBS producer Mary Mapes' memoir about how she was fired and Rather was forced to resign after they reported that George W. Bush received special treatment in the U.S. Air National Guard during the Vietnam War. This is the film's trailer.
Why did you get into journalism?
Curiosity. Why'd you get into it?
You.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my friend, Dan Rather.
I'm the producer. I put the team together. We have Lucy Scott to run point. Colonel Roger Charles worked Abu Ghraib for us. Mike Smith, he was a researcher for us back in 2000.
What's our next move?
I might have something for the election.
The President of the United States may have gone AWOL from the military.
He never even showed up.
Those parts of his file they didn't like, they tossed in a wastebasket.
Do you have these documents?
These really are the holy grail of documents.
You've got 3 hours.
We're out of time.
Start opening. Go!
Go!
Tonight, we have new information on the President's military service. Here's to a great story.
Hey, Mary. These blogs are saying that the memos can be recreated in Microsoft Word.
Several experts have raised serious questions.
They're going to start an investigation.
This is bad.
They do not get to do this. They do not get to smack us just for asking the question.
They want to talk to your source.
No, it's bad.
I never should have asked the question.
You gotta make your case, honey. You have to fight.
Somebody has got to confirm those memos.
This isn't a trial. This is a hunt.
What we're talking about is you bringing your politics into your report.
I did nothing of the kind.
Where does politics not enter into this?
Our story was about whether the president fulfilled his service. Nobody wants to talk about that. They want to talk about fonts and forgeries. And they hope to God the truth gets lost in the scrum.
That's the trailer to Robert Redford's most recent film called Truth. Well, I met up with him at the Sundance Film Festival on Monday, where he founded the film festival in 1978. I began by asking Robert Redford to talk about the film Truth.
It was basically the story of Dan and his producer, Mary Mapes, and what happened in that time when he got fired. And what I remember at that time, I think I was working, doing a film, and what I remember was that he was at the top of his game. There were the main anchors. He followed Cronkite, and then there was Brokaw, and then Jennings. And he was the top dog and had a huge following. And what I remembered was they were going after a story about Bush's Air National Guard record, which was full of holes. And they were beginning to dig into that, and it was threatening the administration, which was Bush at that time. So the Bush administration was putting pressure on CBS to back off. I didn't know the details of all this. All I knew was that there was this story coming out and then it stopped. You know, up and shut, and I always thought, well, I wonder if there's more to that story. So anyway, here was the chance because Jamie Vanderbilt opened it up to tell the fuller story. Well, obviously it wasn't going to put CBS in a rosy position, so you expected them to go after it, which they did. But for me, it was a chance to say, okay, so this was maybe, I don't know if it was the first time, if you're thinking about All the President's Men, I don't know if it was the first time that you had a conjunction between corporate America, journalism, and corporate America, journalism, and entertainment. Those three things that used to be separate came together. And so I felt that was a story that was really worth telling.
I want to show you back playing Bob Woodward and All the President's Men.
Surveillance is doing it.
It's being done. People's lives are in danger. Maybe even ours.
What happened to that justice source of yours?
Well, I guess I made the instructions too complicated because he thought I said hang up when I just said hang on.
Oh, Jesus.
The story is right.
Haldeman was the fifth name to control that fund, and Sloan would have told the grand jury.
Sloan wanted to tell the grand jury.
Why didn't he?
Because nobody asked.
Nobody asked him.
To cover
had little to do with the break-in. It was to protect covert operations. The covert activities involving the entire U.S. intelligence community.
Did Deep Throat say that people's lives are in danger?
Yes.
What else did he say?
He said everyone is involved.
So that's you, Robert Redford, playing Bob Woodward in All the President's Men, this 40-year arc, as journalists try to take on power, take on the presidency. I mean, it worked in All the President's Men. Here, Dan Rather was crushed, and Mary Mapes.
Well, the difference, in terms of the two, the difference that I could see is that in All the President's Men, these two reporters were doing very much what Dan and Mary were trying to do. They were trying to dig underneath what was being covered up. And they were trying to get underneath the cover-up, say, what's the real truth? What's the real story? So they succeeded because they were given permission and they were given license by the Washington Post. So their bosses stood behind them. In Dan's case, his boss did not. So CBS did not stand behind Dan and Mary.
In fact, they were going through a corporate takeover at the time.
That's right. And so they were not supportive. But in All the President's Men, what those guys could have done, couldn't have done, if they didn't have the support of the paper, because the paper was going against an administration that was trying to knock them out. So to me, that was the big difference.
Is having your media institution behind you.
Support you.
And the power of a media that's holding those in power accountable.
Right.
Do you think there's a problem with that these days, especially not only when it comes to government, but when it comes to corporations and corporate power?
Well, I think it speaks for itself, doesn't it? I mean, yes, I do. I think it's changed drastically, not to the better, but it's changed drastically. And so the position of the media and the position of corporate control, to me, and then when it comes to politics, you can see what that's about. I think things are always changing. It's inevitable that things are going to change. So what happened here, you got Citizen United, which changed the picture. So now you have PACs and things like that. With all that, so money did step into politics in a major way, which I don't think is healthy. And then you had the political division between the two parties, where there's no longer a time when the two parties come together to work on something, which during the Watergate time they did. That's gone. So we have this polarization. You got this kind of, it's like a war zone. And it makes me sad for journalism, but it makes me sad for my country to see how it's been divided up by this vitriol